Nutrients. Nutrition with Shaykh Uthman Ibn Farooq. Veganism is a scam. Oh,
contain more carbon.
What the fuck is this? So it's clear that he overexposed the camera. I don't know why he thought this would be preferable. He's an idiot, like a genuine fucking moron. So I don't know why this fucking guy would think editing the video like this to correct for an overexposure would be better than just leaving it overexposed. We'll react to that next.
Interesting time with veganism, because that's a big thing. How was your experience being a vegan?
Yeah, my experience being vegan.
Some totally healthy and happy.
Totally happy and healthy, just like the cows. We're all happy together, big family. Yeah, veganism was motivated due to my psychedelic experience, actually. I encountered, if you will, in a vision, the suffering of the world. At least this is how I want to interpret it. I even had Jesus appear to me in that vision.
Interesting.
At least, yet again, this is how I like to interpret it.
Yeah.
Might be true, might not be true. And I just saw that every life that you can save is a net positive for the universe.
Okay.
So I saw. I was like, great. So then, might as well stop eating meat. Right? Because Buddhism and Hinduism were promoting those doctrines.
Right.
So yeah, long story short, I did it for 4 years straight.
Wow.
Yeah, I stuck with it. And initially, I tried the whole food plant-based diet. So that means this is the diet that is being promoted by the World Health Organization as the healthiest diet there is, period.
Okay.
But it's being promoted as the healthiest diet. It's perfectly suitable, is the quote, for every stage of life. Even for babies. Can I feed them a plant-based diet? Mind you, all of those plants are man-made. If you go 1,000 years back, we had not one of those plants around.
Yeah.
Broccoli.
That is not true. What the fuck is he talking about? You can look at paintings, and you can also look at, what's it called? Like written documents about certain plants. And no, most plants that we eat today were around 1,000 years ago. In fact, technically all of them. They're just changed slightly due to selective breeding. So watermelons, for instance, have existed for a very long time. So I looked up ancient. This is from 17th century, so 1600s. This is a painting of various fruits. You can see plums or peaches there, grapes, pears, all looking mostly the same to what they do today. The thing that stands out, though, pumpkins here too, or squash, are the watermelons. So watermelons back then had much more of the pith. They had much more seeds, and there wasn't as much of the fruit. I think watermelons originated in Egypt. Fuck. Not that. So, damn it, ancient. Maybe I should look up ancient. So, ancient Egyptians had, so ancient Egyptians had watermelons. And as you saw from that transitionary form from the 1600s, watermelons back then, again, they had more of that pith, not as much of the sweet fruit, and actually they're bitter. And they had a lot of seeds in them. The reason why the Egyptians kept them was because they're very watery. They're just a good way of having moisture. They stored water. And of course, they're just bred over time to become sweeter and, better tasting, easier to digest, so on and so forth. But ancient Egyptians, watermelon depiction on walls of at least 3 ancient Egyptian tombs. I don't know what the date on this is. Apparently 3,500 years ago. So 3,500 years ago, you can still find watermelons looking mostly the same, at least on the outside. The only difference is, again, they would have been bitter and have much more seeds and more of the pith or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, kind of. They're closer to a pomegranate, like a big watery pomegranate. So, yeah, Bobby's a fucking idiot. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, like you would expect. And again, Roman art roots. You can find ancient Roman drawings or paintings of fruit. So they had apples, grapes, whatchamacall. They also ate a lot of olives. Pistachios were a thing. I think that one crazy emperor really liked pistachios. And he literally had like this room dedicated to having a shit ton of pistachios, and he'd steal pistachios. So no, you can literally look this up. I mean, you're not even going back that far in time. 1,000 years ago, you can find literal paintings from over 1,000 years ago of those same fruits we eat today. Apples, oranges, pears, grapes. And again, they look mostly the same as they do today. And you can also look up descriptions of these foods from back then. They also taste similar.
Broccoli is manufactured. If you find broccoli in nature, you know how it looks like?
No.
It's a little leaf, a little green, bitter leaf.
Really?
You would never eat it.
No. Wild broccoli is not a little tiny leaf. So, this is what wild broccoli looks like. It's much more flowery. Like, broccoli is also a very general term. You can get really in the weeds with the botanical classifications, but there's a lot of different plants that can be called broccoli. But no, they're not a tiny little leaf. They would have had to have been edible for people to have eaten them and cultivated them. So no, wild broccoli looks more like this. And again, it was just cultivated to be better tasting, more nutritious, easier to eat, less latex, easier to digest. What point is he trying to make?
A good thing you're telling me is that I eat broccoli. So
Never eat it. Don't.
Did you guys hear that?
Don't eat your broccoli.
Don't eat broccoli. I love.
Don't eat broccoli and live a shorter life. Good advice. Tell more of your fans that so they can die young and we can eventually have a Earth that's populated by mostly reasonable people.
So broccoli is not from nature.
No, broccoli is not from nature. Carrots are not from nature. Cabbage is not from nature.
You're blowing my mind right now.
Bananas are not from nature.
What does he mean by any of this? Like, this is so stupid. Ben donated $2. Let me see. Yeah, that's some good flexibility.
Right? All of those fruits, mangoes, etc., are not from nature either.
I like mangoes. That's not the only.
They're beautiful. But anyways, they're not from nature. So if you look at a banana, for example,
Right.
you can Google that too. A wild banana. A wild banana is roughly this size.
Wow.
He's talking about Thai bananas, I think. So sometimes they're at my local grocery store. So some varieties still have seeds in them. and they're like really big and hard and black. But I'm pretty sure he's talking about Thai bananas. Thai bananas are these small little bananas, and some varieties, again, still have seeds in them. What he's talking about, the bananas we're all familiar with, they're mutant species that were found in like Jamaica or something in 1880 something. But yeah, banana with seeds. Yeah, there's a few different ones, but I think these are like bananas that you can find in Thailand, I think. But this is what I'm talking about. They're not wild. They're cultivated. It's just these are cultivated. I don't know if there's wild species of banana, maybe, but they're all cultivated. They're just a different type of fucking banana. The, bananas that Americans eat all the time, they're a mutant species. So yeah, they're different than other types of bananas, but like it is so amazing how remarkably fucking ignorant Bobby is. Like we're only 2 minutes into the stupid dumb fuck discussion, and I've already had to correct him on like everything he fucking said, like every sentence. And we're talking about fucking bananas now.
And this packed with seeds. Because think about it. Every plant in nature
Good point.
needs to survive.
Right.
So how do they survive? Through pollination, through seeds. So
Yeah, so many plants can pollinate themselves and they clone themselves. That's another means of survival. And that can also happen through pollinators, by the way. Pollinators can end up self-pollinating these plants.
a fruit without a seed, and there's something that you can read in the Bible as well, it said that you should never ingest any fruit without seeds. It's interesting because
That is not what the Bible said. The Bible said God gives you every fruit that bears seeds and every seed-bearing plant or some shit.
back then, I don't think they had them without seeds.
Right.
Well, that's good. Anyways, part of the story is that they're almost inedible. If you would eat a banana in nature, they're green, they're small, you peel them, you eat around.
They're not green. They fucking ripen. What is he talking about? Just they turn color when they get ripe, you dumbass.
On the seed.
Yeah, and there's red bananas too. Those also have seeds, but like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, buddy, he literally thinks there's either, cultivated bananas or wild bananas. There's like fucking a billion different species of banana.
And then you spit out the seeds, and this is how the banana tree grows.
But not
With those. No, it's not. It's not that carby either. So one banana like that has maybe 3 to 5 grams of carbohydrates, and a average Cavendish banana has roughly 30 grams of carbohydrates, right? Because they have been bred. The way that bananas are manufactured is by cloning. It's not.
Yeah, that's the Cavendish bananas that we eat. Other cultivated bananas, no, they're not necessarily grown by cloning.
Like the scientific cloning per se. It's more about just cutting off the banana and then pollinating the stem, and then
I don't know if he knows what cloning is. There are plenty of plants that bear seeds that you can clone.
implanting this. So like that, a new plant will grow without a seed. It will just replicate. It's like taking off a branch of a tree and making that into a tree. If you do that over generations, they will lose all their seeds. Side note, this is something that has...
No? I don't know where he got that. Again, the Cavendish bananas, they were a mutant species. They just grew there like that for some reason, and then people just really liked the taste and they cultivated them. Where's he getting the idea if you clone plants over generations, they'll lose their seeds? No, not necessarily.
It's been done in the marijuana industry as well because they want the sticky icky. They don't want any seeds in their wheat.
Right.
And this is why nowadays wheat has no seeds anymore again. And so it has to be cloned.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Anyways, that being said, when you do that, you maximize the effect. With wheat, you have more THC. With bananas and other fruits, you have more carbohydrates. Those are fruits. Fruits are not that dangerous if you do that, other than that you have an excess of carbohydrates.
Okay.
Excess of carbohydrates. Please explain to me what an excess of carbohydrates is.
With the green leafy vegetables, on the other hand, those things are poisonous in nature. Because
No, they're not. I don't know where he got that idea. Why are they poisonous? Poison ivy is poisonous. Why does he think wild broccoli or cabbage is poisonous? By the way, people, like, it's very common for people to eat wild cabbage. You can look at YouTube videos going over, like, you know, food that exists, you know, naturally in the wild that you can eat to save money. Like, you can eat wild cabbage instead of buying cabbage from the store, or wild kale instead of buying it from the store. It's not poisonous. There's also plenty of different species of, like, wild mushroom. What is he talking about?
in nature, everything tries to survive and protect itself.
Right.
So if you look at an animal, it has claws, it has fangs, teeth. Plants don't have that.
Thorns.
They have thorns, right? Good point. But other than that, they have something called phytonutrients, which is not a nutrient, it's a chemical.
Okay.
And those are defense chemicals. So before fertilizer,
No, they're not necessarily defense chemicals, but they can be defense chemicals against fungi. They can be defense chemicals against insects. One that you're most commonly familiar with is the compound that makes peppers spicy. What the fuck do you call it? What is it called again? What makes peppers spicy? It's the fucking thing, capsaicin. Capsaicin is a example of a plant defense chemical where peppers they evolved over time to be very spicy so that certain animals, insects, wouldn't eat them. Capsaicin is good for you. Again, this is an evolutionary adaptation against things like, certain animals and insects, not necessarily against humans. So in order for it to be a danger to humans, it would, if this was an evolutionary adaptation to protect against humans, it would have to stop humans from eating it. So if it doesn't stop us from eating it, then it's not an evolutionary adaptation to stop us from eating it. If it kills us instantly or gives us a horrible rash or something, then that's clearly an adaptation to protect against any animal, including humans, from eating it.
etc. The plants used to defend themselves. If there's an insect, for example, it dies if it eats the plant.
Yeah, then it won't eat the plant.
However, as humans, we're more resilient. So therefore, we can eat a bunch of them.
Honda makes electrical tape infused with capsaicin to protect wires from rodents. That's interesting.
However, this is what led now in this modern day and age to IBS, for example, because it attacks our gut lining. Those anti-nutrients attack.
IBS is a general set of symptoms. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the lining of your gut. It's a general list of symptoms. It can be like irritation in your bowels where you feel like you're, bloated or stuffed up, or you have diarrhea all the time, or you feel nauseous. It's just a list of symptoms. It's not any kind of diagnosis. So when he says, oh, this is why it causes IBS, well, IBS is just a list of symptoms. It doesn't have anything to do with any particular part of your intestinal or digestive tract being irritated.
Our gut lining and destroys our health overall. Because that is a factor as well.
Yeah, right. That's why you see everybody walking around with IBS, right? Like, because they eat plants. Like most people I come across, I'm assuming, eat broccoli occasionally, maybe rice sometimes, potatoes, and they're all about to shit their pants with IBS because, you know, they eat vegetables. It's just so fucking stupid.
People started modifying those plants, as I said. So breed them in a way that they contain more carbohydrates, become more sweet. Yet again, matter of fact is that you don't have those in nature whatsoever. At least 90% of your produce, when you go to a supermarket and you see those colorful aisles, they're man-made.
Wow.
A carrot, for example, you can Google that too. It was just a little root.
Just the root.
You think about it, right?
Wild carrot. So, there are a lot of different varieties of carrots. Some look like this. Some look like this. I think parsnips are also related to carrots. I'm not sure if they grow wild. But, okay. Your fucking point?
The carrot, what is it? It's the part?
Yeah, the root.
It's a root.
Yeah.
And then you have this little green stuff on top. That is the actual plant. And the carrot is the root. It used to be this thin.
Wow.
Bitter as well. And then we started crossbreeding, making them sweet.
Human.
So anyways, part of the story is, to not give you a dietary lesson here, that all of those...
By the way, the same thing has happened to animals. We've bred them to grow larger and store more fat.
plants, and most of those plants are man-made, and therefore the question becomes, of course, if they're not natural in the first place, and we, evolutionary as well, survived for such a long time without them, why...
The question is, why should we listen to this bald retard? Like, if he's going to say these plant foods are harmful to your health in some way, then provide evidence. Don't just make some assumption that what is natural is healthy. Plants aren't natural, therefore they're not healthy. Like, that makes no sense. Tobacco grew wild. Was tobacco good for you? Betel nuts, those grow wild. They weren't cultivated for a very long time. Are those good for you? Like, no, they cause fucking mouth cancer and erode your teeth. There's plenty of things that are natural that are not fucking good for you. Like, why don't you get bit by a rattlesnake? That's natural, right? Like, is rattlesnake venom good for you?
We then need them for perfect health, especially if the fittest survive already. Right? And then you look back into our original diet, it would have been at least 90% meat-based. Right?
No, it wasn't. And it's provable that it wasn't. You can actually, we have a very, very old poop samples. It's fossilized poop from Neanderthals, and I think it dates back very long time ago. Like, you're talking about around 100,000 years. Depending on the area, of course. Neanderthals that lived further down south, I think around Spain, they ate over 80% of their diet from plants. In some regions, they were actually vegetarian. They practically only ate plants. You can even find Australopithecus specimens, and Australopithecus, that was around 2 million years ago, something like that. They have carbohydrates basically stuck in their teeth. So they're eating some sort of seed. There are even ancient hominids that literally ate grass. That made up the majority of their diet. Like, I don't know what he means by ancient humans, but all throughout our evolutionary history, you can see humans eating large amounts of plant foods. Like, do you think if humans came across like an apple tree, they're not going to fucking eat it? It's also kind of strange that you can actually trace amylase starch digesting enzyme mutations. So we have amylase copy gene mutations that's happened several times over the last, few 100,000 years. So if our diet was pretty much only meat, why would we have amylase copy gene mutations that would make us specialized for digesting things like root vegetables? Maybe like eating wild carrots was, like a big part of our diet or something. And the idea that early humans would not eat edible food is kind of a stupid idea.
Right? And why do we have canine, right? Because canine wouldn't be needed if we weren't meant to eat meat.
Not at all. Moreover, we don't have hindguts like cows.
We don't have
ferment the
cannons.
plant matter.
No.
We don't have that possibility. Quite
You don't need a hindgut to digest plants.
the opposite. If we eat a bunch of fiber, we get congested, we get bloated.
Interesting.
So anyway,
No, speak for yourself. I can eat fruits and vegetables and shit and not get bloated.
yeah, this is something that I learned the hard way because of
By the way, like, what's fucking hilarious, Hitler had a lot of gas and bloating, and his doctor advised him to reduce his meat intake, and that reduced his gas and bloating. People can get
I
gas.
was vegan for 4 years straight, believing the propaganda, listening to the science, that's how they call it, Science, yeah. And the experts, of course. And that destroyed my health. So
Really?
after 1 year, I still felt okay, very hungry, but okay. And I didn't listen to my body.
Bobby had an eating disorder, and he was anorexic for a very long period of time while he claimed to be vegan. Later on, he started eating more, but again, he was doing like this like super clean, raw eating shit. Even when he did gain weight, he was probably still under eating and starving himself. So no wonder he kind of felt like shit. Sniffing me, Chungy? Scratching at my sweater. I don't know why he does that. It's really tickly. That's a good Chungy. Yeah, that's a good boy. Ah, fuck. Ah. Why are you tickling me like that? Why are you scratching? What do you think this is? He's a really funny rabbit.
Interesting story, thanks for sharing. Kinda want to try shrooms now. With my depression, the closest I get to happiness is when I have a good dream that I think is real in the moment. I wish there was a drug where I could recreate that experience.
I'm not going to tell you should or shouldn't take mushrooms. You should be aware that there are dangers, potentially. People who have a genetic susceptibility to psychosis or schizophrenia can actually get psychosis or schizophrenia triggered by taking mushrooms. There's a bit of a debate over that, whether or not they would develop psychosis or schizophrenia anyway without the mushrooms. But it is known that magic mushrooms or other psychedelics, including weed, can actually trigger psychosis and schizophrenia. The other big danger is you can actually develop PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, from mushroom trips. Some of them are extremely terrifying. It's weird. I don't really feel much fear normally, even with extremely dangerous or life-threatening situations. Like, I've nearly suffocated to death and felt no fear, but when taking magic mushrooms, it like just activates the fear portion of your brain like crazy. So that is another risk. So just be mindful of that. Also, don't buy magic mushrooms off the dark web. Obviously, try to get it from a reputable dispensary. I can't tell you where to get it because YouTube community guideline shit. But yeah, try to get it from a reputable dispensary, and hopefully in your area it's legal, whatever. But yeah, mushroom trips can give you extremely meaningful experiences for sure. I knew a guy who was on my Facebook friends list. He said he suffered from horrible suicidal depression for most of his life, just miserable almost constantly. He took magic mushrooms, big dose. I think he took like 5 grams. And this was after I made one of my videos on magic mushrooms. And he said, totally changed his life, felt great, depression gone, and felt like a completely different person. So they can be a big benefit for some people. And for some people, they don't. And for some people, they do the opposite. So it really just depends. Don't really expect anything from a given trip.
I watched a debate where a Muslim said homosexuality is a sin and the atheist replied with it's natural and it occurs in nature. That's the appeal to nature fallacy, right? I noticed a lot of people in the atheist community use this. Bad argument, yes.
It's a bad argument unless the Muslim was saying homosexuality is unnatural, for which obviously the reply to that would be to prove that it is in fact natural. So it kind of depends on the context of the conversation, but if you're going to justify homosexuality being ethical on the basis of it being natural, then yeah, that's a bad argument. Thanks for that donation, Round Pumpkin.
Nah, Prismo is a fucking fag and that wolf dog you had to feed meat and yet you blame your girl for the obvious facts of life. Animals don't apply to our system of morality. You don't even believe in carnivorous animals. That means you are psychotic.
Well, no. I have a rabbit here who has been vegan his entire life, and he is perfectly healthy and a nice big round boy. So if a rabbit can be fed a vegan diet, please explain to me how a dog or wolf or cat can't be vegan, if even a rabbit can be vegan. Thanks for the donation, Bill. Appreciate it.
Do you ever size people up when you used to go to the gym? Did people ever try to size you up? Or was everyone scared LOL?
I don't know what you mean by size up. Usually when you're sizing somebody up, you're just making, an analysis of how strong they might be, how hard it might be to fight them. I do that all the time, just automatically. No one's ever tried to pick a fight with me in the gym. No one's ever really tried to pick a fight with me in normal everyday life. At school, that was a bit different, but in normal everyday life, no. Especially after high school, when I really started taking weight training seriously and I got really big, yeah, no. No one ever really bothered me. Even cops are actually really worried about me during arrests. It's pretty funny. But thanks for that donation, Farce.
So this is when I started reading further and trying to adjust my diet. As I said, I started with this whole food plant-based diet, then I went raw vegan because they told me raw plants. So this is the way to go.
No cook?
Nothing.
Wow.
Just salads and fruits. And then later on, I cut out even the salads because just fruits are the way.
Interesting.
Just fruits. That failed.
Buddy, I don't know if he still has the videos up on his channel. He might have deleted them. Let me see if I can find it. He's made a lot of bullshit. Yeah. So let me see. So this was Bobby when he was eating only raw foods. And like he was an emaciated anorexic.
Is that a serious question or are you taking the piss? You think that because a rabbit can be fed vegan so can a dog or a cat? I hope you are trolling because that is the most retarded low IQ thing I ever heard. Rabbits eat carrots and vegetables. Idiot.
No. I'm serious. If a rabbit can be vegan, why can't a dog or cat? What are you talking about? Thanks for the donation, Bill. Appreciate it. So Bobby was anorexic. Like he's talking about when he ate fruits and vegetables and shit. His problem wasn't that he was only eating raw fruits and vegetables or only raw fruits when he was fruitarian. Not only was he eating a raw diet, which is fucking stupid anyway, he was just anorexic. He was plain and simple anorexic. Let me see if I can find the video where he was shirtless and did the disgusting stomach thing. Might have been it? No. It was one of his early videos. Let me just try and find it. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, maybe not. That thumbnail. Yeah, he had that on the thumbnail. It's okay, Bine. He's a really good rabbit. Like, look at his face. His, face just looks fucked up. Ah, Jesus. Why do you keep doing that? Keep scratching. Dear God. Yeah, here we go. So the fucking juice fast. So he'd do this, by the way. He'd do a 30-day juice fast where he'd eat nothing but juice. And he would also do prolonged fasts where he'd eat nothing for 30 days. So he was anorexic. Like, I mean, fucking look at him. Ah, Jesus. So Bobby's... What are you doing? Don't nibble at my sweater. Hey, little guy. Oh, hey, Bun. It's a good Bun. Oh, it's a good Bun. He's so soft and fuzzy. He's a good little fuzzy guy. Yeah, so when Bobby's trying to say, oh, you can't live off fruits and vegetables, look what happened to me. He was just anorexic.
Then I did the fasting, failed as well. Then I went back to a whole food plant-based diet. And now 4 years passed. My teeth were rotting out. One reason why I'm wearing this Invisalign here is to straighten them out again.
So Invisaligns are extremely dangerous. A lot of people end up getting their teeth literally cracked and disintegrate from wearing Invisaligns. Invisaligns are not a actual medical device like braces. They're essentially a fucking scam. There's some people who get Invisaligns and they have great results and everything, but they're not approved by actual dentists. I think they have dentists on staff that assess each individual. They take photos of your teeth and they send it off to a dentist who works on their staff. But they're obviously biased to approving certain people because they make money off of each sale. So they give people Invisaligns when they really shouldn't have them. They should get braces or some other type of dental device to fix their teeth. And then they end up having horrible results. They just have horrible tooth pain, and their teeth don't actually straighten out. In some cases, it gets worse. You may get cracked or chipped teeth. Your teeth might actually start falling out, and get loose. So never ever get an Invisalign. If you want to straighten your teeth out, go to a dentist, and you may either need surgery or braces or whatever the dentist recommends. Bobby's a fucking idiot, and being vegan also won't make your teeth crooked. I don't know where he fucking got that.
Due to veganism,
So they
start becoming crooked.
Yeah, your teeth can't become crooked because of veganism.
really.
Yes. Because we look into it, a vegan diet has no creatine whatsoever. And I'm going to list the
Creatine is something your body produces. If you didn't produce creatine, you die.
nutrients in a second. There's no creatine whatsoever. Creatine is only found in meat, in red meat. By the way.
So I love meat.
Only red meat. And
So stupid. There's creatine supplements, for one thing. I don't know how creatine makes your teeth straight. That's also something I'm not understanding.
what they found out is actually they gave roughly 5 to 10 grams of creatine to vegans, and they saw a huge rise in IQ. And
What? They didn't see a rise in IQ. They saw an increase in improvement in basic cognitive tasks. So, memory, like recalling, certain words with short-term memory. So they'll give you a list of words like TV, I don't know, cafe, mom, dad, blah, blah. And then they'll just ask you to list those words in order again. And then after taking creatine, there was improvement in those kind of cognitive tasks. Wasn't an increase in IQ. If creatine increased IQ, there'd be much more interest in using creatine to help Alzheimer's patients or people who have mental retardation. Bobby's a fucking idiot. So Ben donated $2. Let me see.
What's up, YouTube? Life of Hell Incorporated with some different content for you. I present to you.
Veganism can actually make you stupid.
no, it does make you stupid for sure. And this is actually, I believe, the detriment of the diet because you keep on doing it, because you become done with it, and then you cannot snap out of it. Yeah, it's what.
Afghani, she
Of course,
All you hear about on the news with even scientific channels is the benefits of eating plant-based food and not eating meat, and how meat's horrible for you, and there's nothing good in meat. But this is stuff you don't hear about.
Exactly. I would claim, without being too conspiratorial, that there's an agenda behind it as well. If you want to stay on the surface level, okay, let's say plants are much more profitable. Okay, let's just say it's
True.
money.
plants are not more profitable. Where the fuck did he get that idea? Is he retarded? I'm pretty sure the WHO, the World Health Organization, recognizes that cattle ranching is an easy way for poor people to get out of abject poverty. So what the fuck is he talking about? Bobby is so dumb, dude.
I would say it goes way further than that, but nevertheless, it is much more profitable than raising cows.
Well, I mean,
It is not.
knowing that certain nutrients are essential for the human body and then depriving the people from it, definitely something behind it.
I would say so. There's actually something behind it when you look into Kellogg's. Kellogg's cornflakes, the founder, I forgot his name. You have to Google this as well. However, he was part
His last name would have been Kellogg.
of a certain Christian sect. And
Bobby, you can tell how stupid this guy is. He's basically he's dumb what's his name? Low tier God. These dumb people are just so incredibly uncultured. They know nothing. You know what I mean? They know basic words mama, papa, water, but they just know nothing. Fucking Kellogg was a Seventh-day Adventist, you fucking idiot. That's the type of Christians who are vegetarian and vegan. How does he not know this? Like, for a guy who's complained about vegans for so long, like, how the fuck would he not know that?
This is a fact. This is not a conspiracy theory. So he was looking for a way to stop young boys from masturbating excessively.
Wow.
So in turn, lowering the testosterone levels.
Interesting.
And
no, it wasn't. He had no interest in lowering anyone's testosterone levels. He had the idea that if somebody were to eat very bland, practically tasteless food like cornflakes, it would lower their, like, I don't know, stimulation, and then they just wouldn't have as much of an urge to masturbate. So if they did more bland, boring things, basically, they wouldn't masturbate. But if you're eating, like, all these interesting, really highly palatable foods, and your pleasure senses in your brain are going off, he figured that would lead to more masturbation. Had nothing to do with lowering testosterone, you fucking moron. Where the fuck did he get this idea? Ben donated $2. Okay, I'm a little worried about this one. Big Buns track. Guy is hilariously pathetic. Thanks for that donation, though, Ben.
he saw that a egg breakfast is actually raising the need to masturbate. I don't know how he observed this.
It's a Christian. Catholic? No, I was kidding.
So anyhow, so he came to the conclusion that he has to manufacture a meal.
Yeah, no. I think he noticed that oatmeal with brown sugar was causing people to masturbate. Eggs taste like shit. I think he made the association with oatmeal and brown sugar.
That will stop them from masturbating because masturbation is a sin.
Wow. So that's how cornflakes actually.
It's no joke.
No, masturbation wasn't a sin. The idea, this was, by the way, this was a common belief back in the 1900s when, Kellogg was alive. A lot of people didn't know what caused tuberculosis. There was no cure for it at the time. And they thought, this was a general belief among, the general population. They believed that if you masturbate, you lose like some kind of energy that supports immunity. And if you masturbate too much, you, especially as a man, you lose like the energy required to keep up like your immune system, and then you end up getting tuberculosis. That was the reasoning behind trying to prevent men from masturbating, particularly young men. So it wasn't that it's just a sin. There was like this belief that it actually led to a serious health problem.
You can look this up. There's no conspiracy theory.
So, was it Simon Kellogg? Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember if it was Simon Kellogg. Kellogg. Fuck, maybe I shouldn't use Google Images first. Kellogg cornflakes masturbation. Yeah. So, Kellogg strongly warned against the habit, in his own words, claiming of masturbation related to deaths such as such a victim literally dies by his own hand, among other condemnations. He felt... So, this is Wikipedia. He felt that masturbation destroyed not only physical and mental health, but moral health as well. Let me see. Harvey Kellogg. Yeah, I think he was an actual physician back in the day. And he was a surgeon. So, let me see. Believed sex, including masturbation, was detrimental to physical, emotional, spiritual well-being. Personally abstained from it. Never consummated his marriage. What the fuck? This guy got married and never got no pussy? He and his wife kept separate bedrooms. They adopted 8 children and fostered another 34. Dude, you want to bet his wife was just getting fucking boned by, you know, some dude? That's crazy. I didn't know that about him. So, in his 1877 book, Plain Facts for Old and Young, Embracing the Natural History and Hygiene of Organic Life, Kellogg cataloged 39 different symptoms liable to affect a chronic masturbator, including general infirmity, weakness or disability, especially due to old age. Okay. Defective development, mood swings, fickleness, bashfulness, boldness, bad posture, stiff joints, fondness for spicy foods, acne, palpitations, epilepsy. Yeah. So, interesting. Anyway, Dodo92. So I Googled the largest employers in the United States, and Walmart by far came out.
Whatsoever. This is what he created them for. And the same applies to the...
Red pill's definitely better than black pill, for sure. There's a lot of like weird neo-Nazi beliefs, or like not even neo-Nazi, like Nazi beliefs with black pill.
Weetabix company, I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I've seen them.
Yeah, they're common in Australia. So
Yeah.
there's a Adventist, I believe, church as well that invented those with the same motivation behind them. And of course, because they're so deprived of nutrition, you see the label fortified. And fortified simply means chemical supplements.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know why fortification's a bad thing. Whole food products can be fortified, like milk. By law in Canada, milk has to be fortified with vitamin D just because of how common vitamin D deficiencies are in, you know, a country where half the year it's too cold to walk outside with a t-shirt, and there aren't many dietary sources of vitamin D.
That's it.
Unnatural again.
Unnatural. So if you look one last thing into the vegan diet, people will tell you that you have to supplement vitamin B12.
Right.
And that's great.
Yeah.
But it's not only vitamin B12. So you don't have any vitamin D3.
Even iron is hard.
If you look at the Adventist health studies, they actually found that vegans had lower risk of vitamin D deficiency compared to meat eaters because vegans were more likely to go outside and exercise and get sunlight. So there just aren't many food sources of vitamin D, period. So like the only real substantive sources of vitamin D are going to be pretty much just from fish. Like if we're ignoring fortified foods, then you can't count dairy because dairy is fortified with vitamin D. You would have to eat about 2 whole salmon fillets. So like two chunks of fish like this, about that big, to get your 2,000 IUs of vitamin D. So, which is the RDA. Or you could take a supplement. I don't know what this vilification of supplements is.
Hard to find.
You don't have proper heme iron, which is the iron that you find within the blood.
Yeah, so just because the type of iron found in our blood is heme iron, that doesn't mean it's a good idea to consume heme iron. There's no way of regulating iron once it's in your body, so it's regulated through absorption at the enterocyte in your intestines. And when there's not enough iron, the chemical pathway that allows iron to pass through the intestine will open up. When there's too much, it'll shut down and not allow iron absorption. So the plant sources of iron are the ideal sources of iron that you want, and the animal sources of heme iron are not good for you. They're associated with things like heart disease and certain cancers, so probably don't want to eat those. Ben donated $2.
So, life ahead.
Iron within plants, you just have a precursor of it. And if your body will convert it, that is up to the individual body. They found, for example, that Scottish women cannot convert it at all.
If you're Scottish, be careful.
Whatsoever. So you don't have any creatine, as I said, you don't have any carnose.
If you didn't have any creatine in your body, you would be dead. So your own body makes creatine. And if you want creatine, I don't know why you wouldn't supplement with it.
Either. You don't have any carnitine either, which are all amino acids found within meat, and moreover, we have receptors for them in our gut. This is why you get satiated when you eat a steak. A steak, for example, a 200-gram steak, doesn't have that many calories.
It doesn't.
But you're satiated after it.
That's true.
How come? Right? This is because we have receptors, again involved with our receptors here, for carnitine.
So once again, humans were meant to eat meat, though.
100%.
Right.
Even by the evolutionary perspective.
Yeah, we've made no evolutionary adaptations to eat meat. I don't even know why that matters. Like, what should matter to you is ethics and, from a health standpoint, health outcome data. The fuck does it matter if your monkey ancestors ate, like, fucking cockroaches or other smaller monkeys or some shit? Like, who fucking cares? Like, what you'd care about is whether or not what you're eating is good or bad for you. That has nothing to do with your ancestry.
You would have to admit that, right? Then you don't have K2, you don't have proper vitamin B6 either, you don't have real calcium, you have just again this precursor of it, etc., etc. You can boil it down to at least 15 nutrients. 15 nutrients, if not more, that we know of that are missing.
So when you go on a vegan diet, one of the things then you're going to lose testosterone then?
100%.
Wow.
Of course you.
Vegans, on average, have higher testosterone than meat eaters, so no. Like, again, I can lift more than Bobby. He can talk all the shit, like, but this is the same fucking jackass who said he'd fight me, and then he said he'd only be willing to fight me to the death, and then when I'm like, okay, you live in a shithole in Macedonia. I'm sure we can find somewhere where nobody would find out and I could take a plane flight. And then he refused. So I don't know what to tell this guy. Like, nothing really matters to him. He's just a fucking ideologue.
And I actually did the blood test myself. First, I was happy because
I don't know, Fars, I don't know why the fuck you're asking me that. I don't know when I don't plan to go to certain restaurants, okay? I don't have fucking dates set up in my Google Calendar when I'm not going to go to a fucking particular restaurant, so stop asking.
cholesterol got low.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, at first. But then, later down the line, it went into critical levels below the average standard.
Well,
So
people
it's difficult.
forget.
Did he just say his LDL went to critically low levels? There's no such thing as having too low LDL. You can find people who have LDL in the single digits, and they're fine. No health problems whatsoever.
Cholesterol.
I mean, you do need cholesterol. There's good cholesterol, obviously.
Of course.
And, I mean, in nature, these, you know,
Like, if they're going to use this logic, oh, well, any cholesterol is good for you because you need cholesterol. Well, okay, you also need glucose. If your blood glucose goes to 0, you're dead. You're going to go into a coma immediately, and then you just die. So I guess by that logic, sugar is good for you? Like, no. you can't, like, if you're diabetic and you have a super high blood sugar, that's not good for you. So just because you need certain things doesn't mean any amount is good for you.
How Allah designed insan, you need those things, right?
Absolutely. Cholesterol is the precursor of every single hormone in your body. If you look at the testosterone molecule,
I don't think it's every hormone, but when it comes to like steroid hormones, yes.
come from a scientific background, you will see that it's based upon two cholesterol molecules.
Right.
It doesn't function without it whatsoever. So you need cholesterol in order to produce healthy hormones within your body. That's just what it is.
Yes, and your serum cholesterol score has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, anyway, so I was lacking.
There's no correlation between serum cholesterol and testosterone production in your body.
50 nutrients, nobody talks about it. It's quite amazing. Even if you look at daily formula, now they're adding DHA and EPA, which are essential fatty acids.
Right.
5 years ago, you didn't have that.
Yeah.
So now they found science, prove it again, right? Another win. So they cannot at all understand what is in there. Right now, we partially know how much protein you have in a steak, how many calories it has, which micronutrients that we know of.
Right.
But maybe there's something else in there that you don't.
The fuck is he talking about? He thinks we're gonna find a new vitamin that's in steak? Like this, I guess this is the only way he can rationalize eating meat, because literally everything you just mentioned you can get from plants or take in a supplement form. So I guess he has to have this idea that there's nutrient X in steak that we haven't discovered yet, and that some people need for some reason. Yeah, that's not going to happen, Bobby.
Don't know, right? Of course, you cannot. It's absolutely impossible. And this is why they found out just last week, actually, that Bill Gates, I don't even know if I can name him here.
Go for it.
Yeah, Bill
We
Gates.
don't mind getting canceled, don't worry.
I don't want you to get cancelled. Anyways, his factory of plant-based meat and impossible burgers and artificial meat is actually cancer causing.
Wow.
Go figure. They found out now. They did the studies.
What? Just where's he getting this
And they
shit?
found it out. So there you go.
Oh my
if you go
God.
against nature, against your own human body.
By the way, slaughterhouse workers have a massively increased risk of cancer compared to any other worker. Just handling, cut up meat actually increases your risk of cancer. You can look it up. They have higher risks of skin cancer. I'm pretty sure, what is it, like blood cancer? What's it called? Leukemia, and a few others. So I don't know where he got that idea first off, but slaughterhouse workers have increased risk of cancer. So this isn't the fucking, gotcha death stroke that he thinks it is.
You will suffer. That's the quintessence of it.
Allah made everything in a balance.
When am I debating reasonable vegan? I've got to get back to him. I got sick and I just forgot to message some people. There was somebody else who offered to debate me on firearms. I can't remember, but I got to get back to a few people.
I mean, eat meat, eat vegetables, eat whatever's there, but in that balance, and in that true balance, the halal way of life, people flourish.
I would agree.
And every time humans have tried to mess with that balance, we've only caused harm.
Yes.
Most
Vegans live longer and have lower risk of chronic disease compared to meat eaters. So, what harm are they talking about?
cancer that we talk, I mean, I used to work in a company that basically was working on equipment to detect and then to try to eradicate cancer cells and things. And we had a lot of training on what causes cancer.
Right.
And everything would go down to certain chemicals, certain unnatural processes. And you start thinking, like if we really lived in a way that Allah designed for us, we would be cured of, so many.
From what I understand, Muslims believe in the same creation story as Christians, so, the Garden of Eden. If that's the case and you believe that, the original creation myth, Garden of Eden and this shit, what foods do you eat in a garden? So if God had intended us to live in a garden, that sounds like fruits and vegetables to me. I don't think you find hamburgers in a garden.
Lifestyle choices within the halal life would save us from these things.
Absolutely guaranteed. In my mind, there is no doubt that if we follow the laws of God, and therefore implicit the natural laws as well, then there couldn't be such suffering.
Right.
Absolutely impossible. Especially if we talk about lifestyle diseases or modern day diseases. So you have modern day disease.
There's no such thing as modern day diseases. If you're talking about something like heart disease or hypertension, shit like that's always existed. Some of it more rare, type 2 diabetes, obviously being more rare just because obesity is a huge risk factor for it. But heart disease has been prevalent through every culture in human history. Read the Horus Study. Every culture from African hunter-gatherers to ancient Egyptians, they've all had heart disease prevalent. And it's because of cholesterol. Most cultures are going to have high enough cholesterol levels where if they live long enough, they do develop atherosclerosis.
And you look at the diet. We stopped eating the way that we ate back in the day. So if we have modern day diseases, it can be only blamed upon modern day lifestyle choices and modern day foods. So we didn't have Cheerios.
No, it can't. So when the average life expectancy, say 1,000 years ago, give a random number, was about 35, 40, just by that nature alone, you're going to see different prevalence of disease just because people weren't living as long and there was higher infant mortality. But no, heart disease prevalence was extremely common. Diabetes did exist, type 2 diabetes. It's just, again, less common because obesity is the biggest risk factor for it. High blood pressure did exist back then, but again, it was less common because sodium intake and, again, obesity are the two biggest risk factors for it, but they still existed. There's no modern disease that's unique to, any particular food we eat right now. Well, Bobby's dumb, but we all knew that.
Always appreciated about him was his willingness not to be